Now, it's time to meet the players of college sports today and get this show started. He's a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, a first-round NFL draft choice, and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame as both a player and coach. He is the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. He's a rare two-time SEC Player of the Year and spent over a decade in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Matthews. And presenting the host of the show, with over 25 years of sports broadcasting experience, Terry Norvelle. Coming to you from the College Sports Today studio, it's time for College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvelle.
And a very happy Friday as we welcome you inside the College Sports Today show and our studio. Terry Norvelle and the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, joining us for about a half hour. Coach, glad to have you back. Man, you have been busy.
Yeah, Terry, I've been traveling on the Mondays, it seems like the last couple of weeks. But, I get back to Gainesville Thursday or Friday, usually most of the time. But, good to be back here with you.
I know you got a lot going on. It is a busy time for you and most people. We're all getting back in the swing of things and getting caught up. And, gosh, you work at the University of Florida. You've got a lot of media. You're on our show. You've got a restaurant opening up any week now. Matter of fact, I'm heading over to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill after the show. I'm showing a TV guy off. I know y'all have had some private events kind of getting this thing started.
Right. We've had a few events, and we'll continue doing that. Officially being open, it's probably going to be July now. We're still trying to find people that
hiring
want to work,
people.
Work in the restaurant. Seems like every business is having trouble hiring people.
Sure.
So we need to hire probably, 40 or 50 more people to make sure we can open up 7 days a week and be ready to go.
I know we've had an entire month over there at Spurrier's, hiring month, and it wraps up, I guess, the month tomorrow or so, but it's going to get extended. Very easy, Coach. I know I've even gotten on the website. Very easy to apply. So if you want to apply for a job at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with Visors Rooftop, SpurriersGridironGrill.com. You click on, you hit contact. I've done it, Coach. It goes right to which job you want to apply for. Very easy. But you're having some private events, so that means we're real close.
Yeah, we had the United Way of Gainesville over there last night. Approximately 80 people up in the Visors Rooftop Lounge. And I went over and had a chance to chat with them briefly.
Yeah.
And had a nice crowd. Everybody seemed fired up and ready to get this restaurant open probably in first or second week of July now.
Yeah, definitely. So that's right around the corner. Polishing it off, final little, I think in construction they call it punching out, getting everything ready. Again, I hadn't been there in about 6 weeks. I'm heading over right after the show, taking a TV buddy of mine over there, and we're going to meet with Freddie. Looking forward to it. Coach, we'll keep you around about 30 minutes here. A couple things we want to do, including in a few minutes we're going to bring on a good buddy of mine who's been in sports media forever, Brent Beard. Coach, I've picked out, the NFL boys, they've been crowing about their schedule. They were talking all week. The NFL schedule's out. But let's talk some college football schedule. I picked 10 what I think are intriguing games. We're just going to bounce around and look at some of the big games in college football as we can do that. But, Coach, before we do that, we haven't visited with you since all the Jaguar Tebow news. Talk about the overview. Tim Tebow trying to come back to the game of football, learn a new position. Everything. You've followed this the last week or two. Talk about it.
Remember, we talked way back, and I said, don't be surprised if Tim Tebow signs and plays tight end and forth. And a lot of people said, that's never going to happen. And it still hasn't happened. I've never seen expected to sign hit the news for, 2 or 3 weeks in a row here now. But I think he should sign. Tim Tebow is – Bear Bryant had a statement. He said, a good coach can recognize winners. They come in all sizes, shapes, and forms.
Gotcha.
They don't have to have 50 years of experience or 10 years playing a position or this, that, and the other. Winners can play all the positions. And when Tim Tebow was the quarterback here, he was basically a running back and a quarterback and threw the ball beautifully during the games. To me, he and Danny Werfel were a lot alike in that in practices, someday their balls don't look all that pretty going through the air, but when the game starts, they always seem to get right there where they need to be. So Tim Tebow's a winner. We all know that, and having him on the team to me, can't do anything but be advantage for the Jags.
Hasn't played football, hasn't practiced in 6 years or so, hasn't played a game in more, changing positions, coming back to the game.
I bet he's worked out more than all those guys that have been playing.
Yeah.
He's a workout fanatic, and you can tell by looking at him, he's no stranger to the weight room, that's for sure.
Sure. Things he'll have to overcome or learn. 3-point stance, I guess, to a degree. Getting off the line of scrimmage. Talk about what he's going to face changing to that tight end position.
I'll tell you what, nowadays, I think Mike Ditka said something about it. The tight ends now are not the tight ends of 15, 20, 30 years ago, where every time they came up, put their hand on the ground right next to the offensive tackle. Now they're usually off the ball, even if they're next to the tackle. So they're sort of hands on the knees. They don't have the hand on the ground. In fact, the game has changed so much now. The offensive linemen don't even put their hand down there on pass plays.
Good point.
They're just up, ready to pass block and so forth. So I don't think it'll be as big a change for what he's done in his football career as a lot of people think, because I believe the tight end nowadays is a guy that goes in motion. He can help block linebackers and double team defensive ends, but he won't be blocking those guys head up, the big defensive ends. And, you go to the flat, you go across the middle and seam routes and all that. But we all know he's tough. He's not going to shy away from a pass or anything like that. So give him a chance. Some of the experts always have their opinions, but I believe you wait and give everybody an opportunity. And so hopefully he'll sign sometime this week, and we'll quit saying expected to sign.
But from a media standpoint, Coach, we knew what was going to happen with the draft night, and then the next week or so, we knew it was going to be Lawrence, and we knew there was a lot of media. And I think it broke that same day, the Tebow stuff. Jacksonville, the Jaguars, I mean, they have been in the news the last 3 weeks more than they've been in the news the last 26 years, I think. What a coverage.
Yeah, I tell you what, not only did they get the quarterback, but they got ETN, the running back.
Nice back, isn't he?
A lot of college experts thought he was the most valuable player on the Clemson team.
Good football player.
I mean, leading rusher in school history, All-American tailback. So Travis Etienne, look for him to be the starter and do big things also. So, I think they had an excellent draft, and we'll see what takes place.
Well, I mean, and it is rare in the history of the Jaguars, but I mean all the outlets. I don't care from the ESPNs to the websites to the streaming this and the radio that, it's all Jaguar.
Well, think about it, Terry. They've done nothing to get anybody thrilled and fired up about a coming season until now. I mean, nothing really. They did have a pretty good year. Was it 3 or 4 years ago?
17, I think it was.
Yeah, they had that heartbreaking loss up at New England that they should have or could have won that one. But since then, it's sort of been sort of dull, and now hope. We all got to have hope in life. So those Jag fans have plenty of hope. Good things are going to start happening.
And tickets are selling now. Boy, you could, Coach, I know being a Jacksonville native for the last many years, you get in the heart of Jacksonville, you get stopped by a red light. If your window's down, tickets get thrown in your car. I mean, they get thrown in your car. Those tickets now are gold.
I had a buddy that I think went to a game over there, and he had a bunch of extra tickets, so he put it on his windshield. And when the game was over, he came back and it doubled.
They doubled. I love it.
That's a joke.
I know. I've heard that before. He came back. He put 7 in the windshield and 14 when he came back, right?
That was a joke. That maybe didn't really happen.
I like it. Evan, I don't know if we're going to have Brent Beard on here momentarily. We'll catch up with Brent here and let us know. But, Coach, I want to go ahead and get into, we're going to keep you here probably about a half an hour. We may not get to SEC baseball's heating up. SEC softball is heating up. A lot going on. FSU's women's soccer team Monday night will play for the national championship. They are playing Santa Clara. Florida and Alabama look like they're going to collide in SEC softball at their conference tournament. The Gators and the Bulldogs, big series tonight. Bunch of big college baseball series all over the SEC. We'll get to that probably in the second half of the show. But, Coach, I want to get some games, and if Brent Beard catches up with us, we want to bring him on as well. I've listed here, and, Coach, you can see it over here a little bit closer. I've listed, in honor of the NFL schedule came out. Well, let's talk some college ball here. I've picked what I think is just my opinion. You can add games, take away. Terry's top 10 intriguing college football games coming up.
Okay.
And I've gone straight down, in my opinion. Add, subtract. Number one, I think the most intriguing game, and I'm going to lead off. Alabama, third week of the season, roughly. Alabama in Gainesville taking on Florida. And do we have Brent? Let's see if we got Brent. Coach, let's get our headset on. Brent Beard's going to walk us through this as well. Hey, Brent, can you hear us okay? Okay, 1 second. We'll get Brent on and make sure Coach can hear. Brent, how you doing, bud?
Well, I'm doing good. Good to be with you and Coach. I'm doing.
Oh, we just lost him.
Yeah, we just lost you, Brent.
We just lost him. Evan, is that on our end or? Go ahead, Brent. You should be back on.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Is that good?
You sound and look great. Brent Beard, a longtime college sports analyst all over the South. You hear and read and see Brent on. If it's an outlet in the South talking college ball, this guy has been on it. Of course, you know this guy to my left, Brent, Coach Steve Spurrier. Brent, I sent you the list of games. Coach and I can see it here as well. I just kind of wanted to get into the college football schedule, and I picked out 10 games that intrigued me, and I want to walk it down. Coach, I've got Bama at Florida, the most intriguing game. I'll give you a couple thoughts. I want to hear from you too. Number one, I think anybody that's not an Alabama fan, college football needs Florida to beat Alabama for the good of college football, one. Number two, the rare times that Alabama loses football games in the regular season, they normally lose in November. They'll lose to an LSU here in November, an Auburn there. So they only got to finish off 3 or 4 more games to keep the season going. I think it's intriguing if A, Florida knocked Alabama off, and B, Alabama then would have to win about 9 or 10 in a row, not 2 or 3. Coach, what do you think, Alabama, Florida?
I think we're catching them at the right time. They had, 6 first-round picks this year?
Yes.
And had about 5 or 6 in the second and third rounds or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But obviously, they lost a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And they got good players coming, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's early in the year. Is it the third game? Or
September 18th. September 18th, third game.
Third game, okay. So we're getting them pretty early, and I think we'll be ready to go. History, Alabama doesn't come to Florida much. You know that? Once every 10 or 12 years, it seems like.
Yeah.
So the swamp will be packed for that one.
Absolutely.
And it's, I think, a wonderful opportunity for us to upset them. Because when you beat Alabama, they're always favored. I don't know the last time they were an underdog. Brent could tell us.
Brent could tell
When were they an underdog last?
If I'm having to think real hard about that, Coach, I probably told you it's been a long time.
A long time.
At this point. But look, to dovetail with what Coach said a little bit, number one, you got a new quarterback, Bryce Young, because Mac Jones is going to the NFL. Now, their defense is supposed to be the best defense I've had since 2016.
Yeah.
So, and that was a good group at that point. But look, this has CBS Game of the Week written all over it, does it not?
Yeah, and that is.
That'd be a tad hot at 3:30 in the afternoon.
I think it's set.
Yeah,
Brent, I think it's already set for 3:30. Yeah, I think that's already on paper at 3:30.
I was hoping for a night game with that one, but look, the coach knows the atmosphere for that game is going to frankly be unbelievable. Look, I think I'll give you a matchup real quick. I think Florida's running back room is as deep as I've seen it in a long time. That's going to be a really good matchup between the Florida running backs and the Alabama linebackers, especially with Terry, Henry To'oTo'o's at Bama now from Tennessee. That could be very interesting early on.
All right, it's going to be a heck of a game. That's why I've got that the most intriguing. Brent, we're going to ask you if you can. My producer wants you to swap your phone kind of sideways, if you can, and turn it, and it'll catch back up real quick, and that way it'll fix your. Hold on. I think it'll.
That's all right. Yeah.
Is it not going to switch? Okay, we got to go back. Evan says go back. We're trying to do some producing on the run there. We were covering the microphone a little bit. So Alabama, again, I think it's intriguing. Alabama hasn't had an early season loss where they have no margin for error in a long time. If they were to drop that game in September, Bama's they can't stumble against LSU or Ole Miss or A&M or Auburn. Game number 2, Coach, Georgia Clemson. I've got that intriguing game number 2. Mainly for me, the loser. That's the opening game of the year. right? That's Labor Day weekend. The loser, be it Georgia or Clemson, nobody's ever made that college football playoff with 2 losses. That is a long way to go if you lose that opener, if you still want to make that college football playoff.
Yeah, I think you got to admire Georgia and Clemson, Kirby and Dabo for playing each other. They don't have to do that.
No, good point.
Some coaches would duck games like that in preseason and so forth, but I think it's really, really good they're doing it, and that's why I think if either one of them had 2 losses but still won their conference championship, they should get into that big playoff. Conference champions should get in regardless, but we don't do it quite like that yet, but hopefully someday.
Brent, risky for the loser, but as Coach says, example, if Georgia lost but ran the table, Georgia doesn't play Alabama. Let's say they meet in Atlanta. They could both get in. They could both get in, but risky for the loser because you got to win a lot of games.
The thing for the loser is going to be the College Football Playoff Committee is going to give the loser a lot of credit because they played that game to begin with. So that's going to help. Now, to me, Georgia really needs to win this game, and this is why, because as Terry said, that would be 0-1, and then you get into the conference. You know you've got Auburn. You know you've got Florida, and see the other issue is Georgia is not. It's not possible, guys, that they could get upset, say, of South Carolina that did it a couple of years ago. You remember in that game. And the reason, too, is if Clemson loses that game, look, let's be honest, we cover the ACC pretty closely, too, and I think the ACC will be improved. Clemson has a much less chance of losing a game if another game after that because of the conference they play in.
The other thing about losing, guys, an early game, let's say Georgia loses to Clemson. Georgia, A, has to win a bunch of games in a row, and B, they need Clemson to be good. You don't need to lose that game and then have Clemson lose 3 or 4 games or vice versa. You need the team that beats you to stay good, right? So you're beholden to them a little bit. Oregon at Ohio State. I think this is an intriguing game to me. I put it on the list, Coach. For the Pac-12, keep in mind, the 2 best teams in the Pac-12, USC and Oregon, they don't play in the regular season. So the Pac-12 just doesn't have many marquee games. Coach, early in the year, the Pac-12 I put there because I think the Pac-12 needs Oregon to go into Columbus and knock off Ohio State.
Yeah, that'll be hard for them to do it in Columbus.
It will.
They'd been better off at one of those neutral site games.
Sure.
But that's a huge game.
Well, that was a home-and-home, Coach, and last year it was supposed to be played out there and got canceled.
Yeah, both teams possibly in the top 5 in the country going in. So, that'll be a very interesting one. But the final analysis, though, any team with 2 losses hasn't made the playoffs yet.
I know.
So that's why those games are extremely important for the winner anyway.
I think what's also important is that Ohio State will have a new quarterback. Justin Fields isn't going to be there anymore.
So they're catching him at a decent time.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely. And I'm curious if Coach knows Mario Cristobal. But, boy, he's done a good job at Oregon, hasn't he? Just a tremendous recruiter. And look, they may be their hope to get in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, Cristobal. Yeah, he's done a nice job out there, leaving the East Coast, going way out to the West Coast. But, boy, he's brought in talent. They've got a lot of talented players on that roster. And, again, before we skip over this game, a little bit of a tough break. This was a home-and-home that last year Ohio State was supposed to be at Outson Stadium. But they played the season, but that cross-country game got canceled. So Oregon, I guess they're going to make it up down the road, but Oregon's got to go to Columbus without the already played them over in on the West Coast. Florida, Georgia, guys, I've got as the 4th most intriguing game for me. I just kind of went through all the schedules. And the intrigue to me, guys, and Coach, I'll lead off with you. Let's assume Georgia loses, okay? I think most people would agree we're in Georgia Bulldog golden era number 2. The golden era of Georgia football was when they found a guy named Herschel Walker. The 3 Herschel years plus 1, that was a golden era of Georgia football. I think we're in golden era number 2. But, Coach, if Georgia was to lose to Florida this year, Kirby Smart would be 3-3 against Florida. in a Florida rebuild 3 years ago, and Kirby's in his golden. I think there's real intrigue if Kirby was to lose to Florida and drop to 3-3. Be tough. That Georgia fan base wouldn't be real happy about that.
Well, that's better than 0-6.
I guess it is, yeah. But they expect they should be beating
When I was here,
Florida.
they had a coach that went 0-6 against us. So,
Coach, be nice now.
But they got rid of him after that. You're right.
Be nice,
But
Coach.
I think it's important that either Kirby or Jimbo Fisher beats Saban.
Yeah, I agree.
He's still undefeated against all
One of those
his
assistants.
guys out there.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to beat him soon.
Yeah.
Will it be this year or not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Brent, the angle I just threw at you, I know Bulldog fan thinks this is their second best era of Bulldog football, but if they looked up a week or two after Halloween and Florida had beaten Kirby and made his record 3-3, and they go, wait a minute, Florida had to rebuild out of McElwain. Why is Kirby only 3-3? Your thoughts on that?
Well, look, a lot of non-Kirby fans would tell you that his record's not much better, if it is better than Mark Richt.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is they are at a different level of football, I think, at this point because they've recruited so well. Look, they've been in the national championship game. They've won an SEC title. That makes a difference. But this is going to be an intriguing game here. I think certainly by that time, either Emory Jones or Richardson will be probably solidified at quarterback. Yeah. And look, I think the unit that no one's talking about, but we all know Georgia's defense is going to be pretty good. I think Florida's defense is going to be better, frankly.
I think Florida's going to have a hell of a defense, Coach.
Yeah, took up that coaching staff a little bit, and I think Florida's vastly underrated defensively right now.
Yeah, and Brent makes a good point. This one we're looking at way ahead of time. There will be a lot of football already played by the time they get together, so we will have seen both of these programs. Coach, I'm intrigued by game number 5, Oklahoma, Texas. Sarkisian playing with house money, year number 1. Everybody feels good. Lincoln Riley, I've really enjoyed what I've seen. He's turned the Oklahoma program around. They're big and strong now. They've gotten good on defense. They got big, tough-looking guys. 2-3 years ago, Oklahoma was papier-mâché on defense. He's turned that program around. He brought in Alex Grinch. That game intrigues me. Texas playing with house money a little bit. Oklahoma needs to win that ball game.
Texas has still got ball players.
Yes, they do.
And Sarkisian, it doesn't take him 4 or 5 years when you come to school. It's already got the athletes. They've won their bowl game.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be pretty good this year. Now, can they beat Oklahoma? Oklahoma has benefited of the portal. The portal, big defensive lineman. Lincoln Riley say, hey, we need you guys, and we can win it all. We can already win the Big 8 with just offense. Yeah. And when he adds defense, which I think he's added a bunch of stud players on defense, they got a chance to win it all.
He has. Brent, I think you would agree. Intriguing game. Not as deathly important for Sarkisian. It'll be his first go-around in that rivalry. But, boy, Oklahoma, they've been pointing to this year, and he's rebuilt that roster. They look like those big, strong Alabama, Ohio State teams now.
Well, the thing that may get them over the edge is, as you mentioned, Alex Grinch has really done a great job as their D coordinator, and they've got real defensive athletes on that team now that's going to make a difference. Spencer Rattler's a good quarterback, but look, his backup may be better than he is. So, but you know, they can develop a passer. Certainly, nothing that will escape that coaching staff at this point. I agree. Sorent will be successful at Texas, particularly if he can kind of keep some of the big money boosters at bay. Let's be honest, that's been a problem at Texas.
It has
with
been.
that. But Terry, I will throw another game out there, and forgive me if you got this, but I'm telling you that Iowa State and Oklahoma game, that may be a bigger game for that conference in Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Iowa State, Oklahoma's been a really good game the last 5 or 6 years. And Iowa State, they beat Oklahoma. They don't back down from those guys. They've been beating them. Coach made a great point, too, though, about Oklahoma. Man, and that portal, I think the best, and don't laugh at me when I say this, I think the best 4 or 5 Tennessee Vol football players last year are wearing Oklahoma uniforms. He's got 4 or 5. Tennessee only had a handful of good players. They're all at Oklahoma, ready to play. He got the big linemen, a couple of backs. He got a lot of them.
right?
Yeah, Tennessee, they had an exodus up there.
They did.
And
They lost a lot.
hopefully they can come back, be competitive this year. But, Oklahoma is poised to maybe make a real serious run to win it all this year.
Serious run. But, Brent, you do make a good point. Iowa State is a tough out. And that coach has done a nice job. They fear nobody. They bring all their players back, too, from a pretty good team. I don't know how much everybody has watched Cincinnati. Luke Fickell's a big-time coach that I think is destined to coach in the Big Ten. Cincinnati's got a crack now to make some noise. They play Indiana and Notre Dame. They got both guys that they normally don't play. Cincinnati is at Notre Dame. This game intrigues the hell out of me because the last thing Kelly needs is to lose to a Cincinnati team. People will say, you just lost to a junior Big Ten team. I'm not so sure that Luke Fickell, if Notre Dame doesn't have a big year, Coach, I'm not so sure Luke Fickell at Cincinnati might not be auditioning for that Notre Dame job, and you heard it here first. Cincinnati can play ball.
Cincinnati was very good. They lost that heartbreaker to Georgia on that last-second field goal, but I was very impressed.
They're tough.
Now, they lost their D coordinator. Didn't he go to Notre Dame?
Yes,
D coordinator,
he went Freeman, Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
They did lose him.
So time will tell if that really hurts him, but I really liked what Cincinnati did on defense against Georgia.
They
They disguise. They don't play bump and run
No.
and do stupid things like a lot
Yeah.
of defenses
Yeah.
do. They were off. Guys see the ball and so forth. So really impressed with the defense
I agree.
that they played last year.
Totally agree, Coach. They hit you. And they bring you down to the ground and they hit you.
Exactly.
Brent, Cincinnati, one of the great coaching jobs. Luke Fickell is going to be he's already a wanted man. He's going to be a head coach in the Big Ten soon. He's supposed to be a head coach in the Big Ten. He may be auditioning for that Notre Dame job if things go south for the Irish this year.
Yeah. Well, he could. And look, to think about this a minute, guys. If we had an expanded playoff right now, Cincinnati, but very well may be number 8. But because that's probably where your non-Power 5 would be in. Yes, he's doing an incredible job. And as Coach said, they played Georgia wire to wire last year and had to get a 50-plus yard field goal in order to win the game. That would have been a really tough loss for Georgia.
Let's zip through a couple more games before we wrap up the first half of this edition of College Sports Today. Alabama, we've already talked about Alabama, one intriguing game against Florida. They're at Texas A&M. Jimbo, new quarterback. Alabama, new quarterback. If not now, when? And you mentioned not long ago, somebody on that Saban tree has got to beat him at some point.
Yes, supposedly Jimbo at some event said he's ready to beat Saban in Alabama, and time will tell. But so far, no former coach of his has beaten him. A&M's a good team. We'll see how it plays out.
And A&M's got him at home. Coach, before we have Brent put a little bit on that game, did you hear when Saban heard the comment what his retort was? He says, in what, golf?
Yeah. I didn't know Jimbo was a golfer.
I didn't either.
I don't think he plays golf. He would be at some of these events we all go to nowadays, or used to go to. But I don't know if he's a golfer.
Brent, quickly, Alabama will travel later in the year at A&M. If you got to catch Alabama any year, you may as well catch them without a Heisman favorite at quarterback. Now, Bryce Young may be by the time they play, but if not now, win for Jimbo in College Station.
Well, and A&M's got their biggest games at College Station this year. We think King may be the quarterback. We're not sure. They've done a pretty good battle there, but Jimbo will find a quarterback. I tell you guys, just as they have Spiller running back, he's a man, is he not?
He's a tough running back.
And they're going to be able to run the ball. Weidenmeyer is a really good tight end. But this is what can make them special. And we talked about this a minute ago with Oklahoma. Mike Elko stayed as D coordinator. We thought he might be going to Kansas.
Yes.
But they have got their best defensive line that they've had in a long time. This is a legitimate SEC defensive line. That's going to make a huge difference for them this year. And look, as one of the A&M beat writers heard him say the other day, they've got this thing circled on the calendar not once but about 10 times.
10 times.
That's how important this game is today. And, what's been the interesting point is, can you almost overemphasize a game? I'm I'm sure Coach would have an interesting take on that.
Yeah, maybe overemphasize, especially if you don't get it. If you don't get it, where do you go if you lose it? Zipping through, I've got Game 8. Let me tell you why Game 8 intrigues the hell out of me. It's LSU opening the season at UCLA. Nobody noticed, I don't think, UCLA improved dramatically the second half of last year. Brian Kelly or Chip Kelly starting to get some players at UCLA. They were a better football team at the end of the season than a lot of people. LSU, they open up in Los Angeles. That's a long trip. All the stuff, Coach, going around LSU athletics, LSU basketball, LSU football. It's a messy time in and around LSU athletics, even LSU baseball. Some people are getting a little antsy with the coach in baseball. Coach, LSU, the last thing they need is to open that season, go about 2,500 miles, and get their ass beat at UCLA. That game intrigues me to open the season for the Bengal Tigers.
Yeah, UCLA, they can score. Now,
Yeah.
whether or not they can play defense, they haven't done it in
a while.
many a year. But they could upset LSU, but I would go with the bigger, stronger team, which definitely seems to be LSU.
Last thing Coach O needs is to travel his football team to show off the first game of the year and get his ass beat out there with all this. It's a messy time in Baton Rouge right now, real messy. Brent, quickly.
But as what Coach said is right. LSU's got the better line of scrimmage by 4. Their line, everybody came out on that defensive line. We think either Miles Brennan or Max Jones will be the quarterback, and they'll be fine. But you're right. I do hope UCLA makes as much progress this year as they did last year.
USC at Notre Dame intrigues me a lot like Game 3, Oregon at Ohio State. Pac-12, they just don't have marquee games, Coach. And, again, USC is not scheduled to play Oregon. That would be their marquee game. They don't play in the regular season. They may play in the championship game. So, again, game number 9, the Pac-12 really needs USC to be good and go beat Notre Dame.
It would be helpful for the Pac-12 to beat some good teams.
Sure.
So we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, Brent, again, Pac-12, not many marquee games. So when they get one, they got to go get one, right?
Well, look, if Oregon beats Ohio State, and you got USC winning this game. Now again, Ian Book is gone at Notre Dame, and basically that entire offensive line is in the NFL right now.
Sure it is.
So Notre Dame could take a little bit of a step back this year.
I think we'll wrap it up and thank Brent for this. Brent, I want to get your take on this as well. But Game 12 or Game 10 that intrigues me. Texas, new coach at Arkansas. I think this is a neutral site game maybe. But Texas, Arkansas, Pittman in his second year at Arkansas. Somebody's going to get an early kind of really good win on their resume. I like where both programs are going. I like what Pittman's doing out at Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, he made Arkansas competitive. And I don't know how they recruited. I don't know how many seniors they had on that team last year, but they'll play hard, and they'll give Texas a good game.
Yeah.
Right now, I would think Texas might have a little more talent, but we'll see. It'll be a good game to watch.
Yeah, so, Brent, I've got that down there at number 10. It intrigues me. If Pittman was to get that win, I think he's got a signature win a year and a half into his tenure, and Arkansas, they feel good about where their program's at. I like that KJ Jefferson, the big kid that played some. If he wins that job, he's a big, strong quarterback. That game intrigues me from both perspectives. Talk about that, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, Felipe Franks is in the NFL now, so he's not at Arkansas anymore. But look, Pittman did as good a job last year in his first year, frankly, as anybody did in the league. So, and Terry, I love this topic. Let me throw two more out that we don't have room to talk about, but I'm just throw it out real quick. A&M goes to Colorado. So Colorado last year really made some improvement, and that's going to be an interesting game. And here's another game that could be interesting down the road too, as both these teams kind of rebuild. Auburn goes to Penn State. That is a wonderful non-conference game for Auburn to get. So listen, it's a great topic. I love schedules like you guys do.
And guys, we didn't get to it, but I had page 2 honorable mentions. I'll go through them real quick. This didn't make my 10, but honorable mention: Notre Dame, FSU. I just want to see what FSU is going to look like. Miami, Alabama. Can Miami not get embarrassed? Washington, Michigan. I think Liberty at Ole Miss will be an offensive blast to watch, Coach, with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, I didn't know that game was on the books, but that will certainly be worth watching.
That is an honorable mention. There's that Auburn-Penn State he brought up, and there's Cincinnati. I told you. The Bearcats, they don't get big boy schools that often. They've got Fickle and Cincinnati. They've got Notre Dame and Indiana, and Indiana's a good football team now. So Cincinnati really can help their program's cause go get a couple wins. But Brent, thank you so much. We'll let you go. I just wanted to counter the NFL boys. They're bragging about their schedule. Well, the college boys got some schedules out there as well. Brent, thanks, buddy.
Hey, listen, it's my pleasure too. And guys, on that Ole Miss game, Hugh Freeze going back to the Grove. How much fun will that be in Oxford?
Oh my goodness! And 100 points scored probably between the two teams easily. Going to be a lot of fun. Brent, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it.
Guys.
We can take our headsets off now, Coach, as we wrap up this segment. We can go ahead and take our headsets off as we let Brent go. A lot of good games. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up, just recently, the women's NCAA golf event.
Yeah, what happened? Talk about that.
It was scheduled, I think, a golf course in Baton Rouge. I think it was the regional. I think they had 12 teams there ready to compete for, I don't know, 2 spots, or I'm not sure exactly. Yeah. But what they decided to do, because they'd had a lot of rain, is one of the tournament directors said the top 6 seed teams are going to play. The course is wet, but it's playable.
Okay.
And you bottom 6 teams, 7 through 12, y'all are free to go home. And
can't do that.
The ladies started yelling and screaming, and I would too. Just because you're a top 6 seed doesn't mean that day you're going to play better than the seeds that are behind you.
So what happened?
Well, I don't know. I think it was held up that only the 6 seeded teams, 1 through 6, are going to play, and the other teams had to go home. But that was a dumb decision, I think, whoever did it. If you have to shorten a golf match from 18 holes to 12 or 9 or something like that, but you got to let everybody compete. 6 or 7 seeds. Somebody flipped a coin. All right, you're 6, you're 7. Let the outcome be decided on the golf course, on the field of action. And I don't know. NCAA can do some dumb things, but that might have been the worst right there. That was the worst.
I'm driving in, and I heard Shane. By the way, Shane Matthews is at a golf event today. He had pre-scheduled, and he couldn't be here. But I listened to his show, and I caught halfway through that story, and Shane was fit to be tied. What happened with them girls at the golf course?
Oh yeah, they were yelling and screaming, and rightfully so. They may have changed their mind by now, because that was really a bad decision by the NCAA.
That is very interesting and sad. Sad. Them girls, you can't just say, okay, here, go home. Y'all get to play.
Yeah. Yes. Amazing.
Coach, thank you for your time here. I think we'll see you again on Monday. I know you've been so busy with you got a lot going on, including the restaurant. I'm heading over today right after the show to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Can't wait to see. I haven't seen it in 6 weeks, and I'm taking a TV guy over there. So I'm glad to have you settled. I know you're traveling. It's fun, but it can beat you up. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, a little bit. Flying up to Atlanta, actually Sunday. Monday, they got a little golf event for the College Hall of Fame. A bunch of guys that are in it, players and coaches, are playing with some other people at the Peachtree Country Club. Famous old golf course there in Atlanta. Sam Snead, Bobby Jones, all them guys played there. So looking forward to that event Monday.
How you swinging it?
Oh, so-so. Just so-so.
Yeah. That game can do that
but
to you.
But got to keep playing. It's about the last game you can compete in, and you should be able to compete in golf the rest of your life. So I get to play a little bit more forward tees now, so that's helpful, of course.
There you go. Coach, thanks for your time. Have a good weekend. We'll get back together soon.
All right.
That is Coach Steve Spurrier. Break time, come back. A lot to cover. SEC baseball, SEC softball, that and a whole lot more. The second half of college sports today, right after this quick timeout.
The good boys.
Commercial together.
What? Watch me, come with me, bad behavior. All because of this damn tequila. If you're boring, now come in. Me and me friend them come fi take over. Hot gal here. In a week, in your own here. Come know you're expensive and dear. Walk out and show off, yeah, me dear. All the good vibes we had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. Watch out!
Let me take a moment to thank some of the wonderful sponsors that make College Sports Today with the head ball coach Steve Spurrier, Shane Matthews, and Terry Norvelle possible. The official seafood restaurants of the show are Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach and their sister restaurants, Safe Harbor Seafood Restaurant of Mayport and the new Safe Harbor Seafood Restaurant location in Crescent Beach. The next time you crave the best seafood, the freshest seafood on the Northeast Florida coast, make sure you visit Safe Harbor Seafood Restaurant in Mayport, Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, and Safe Harbor Seafood Restaurant in Crescent Beach, the official seafood restaurants of College Sports Today. All-American Roll-Off and Recycling, serving your construction job and demolition project needs among their many other services. All-American Roll-Off and Recycling is ready to work with you on your next project anywhere throughout the Northeast Florida and surrounding areas. Visit their website, all-americanrolloff.com, or call them at 904-503-1410. Campus USA Credit Union. Find out what over 100,000 members already know. Visit a Campus USA Credit Union today and find out how they can work for you financially. If you would like to advertise your business right here on College Sports Today with Coach Spurrier, Shane Matthews, and me, Terry Norvelle, then simply drop me an email at tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com and I'll be sure to make that happen. Thanks again to our great show sponsors. Now let's get back to more College Sports Today. Back we are here, Friday edition College Sports Today. Thanks again to Coach Steve Spurrier. He's often doing Steve Spurrier's stuff. We had him for about 30 minutes. The guy is busy, a lot going on. We appreciate it. Coach, he should be in on Monday as well. Shane Matthews will be back in studio on Monday. Shane had a scheduled golf tournament. I think it might have been Bull Gator golf tournament that was already scheduled. So Shane is on the golf course, surprise. But I think the whole team will be back here on Monday. Coach Spurrier, Shane Matthews, and me, Terry Norvelle. If you're new to the show, we do it every Monday, every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch it on a lot of different platforms live. On the 1010XL Facebook Live page. You can catch it on our show Facebook page. Make sure you're following that. You can catch it on YouTube. Some people, just don't have Facebook. Some people just don't do the Facebook thing. We have our own YouTube channel. So please, if you have not subscribed, get to YouTube and bang in College Sports Today and get all subscribed. And then there's times when Facebook is down at times, so you can have a secondary way to follow the show. So a lot going on. Again, thanks to Coach Spurrier. If you missed it, we had a lot of fun going over 10 of the big intriguing college football games. If you missed it or want to get that out, all shows are archived on the Facebook, our show page, our Facebook Live College Sports Today page. So they're always archived, and you can get to them or send them out. Please feel free to spread the word here on College Sports Today. Again, for new people tuning in, College Sports Today is year-round. This is not just seasonal. We do it year-round. It's 4 years old, and we have been rocking and rolling and are growing every day. I want to talk a lot of SEC baseball as we wrap up the second half of today's show, but a lot of stuff just kind of want to get out there, news and notes from the world of college athletics. If you haven't heard, yesterday a press release came out. The Pac-12 has named a new commissioner. I hope I don't mess his name up. He came from the world of MGM. He's got a real streaming background. George Klivakov, I think is the pronunciation. New Pac-12 commissioner. He makes a lot of statements yesterday, including he referenced expanding the Pac-12. Not the playoff, we'll talk about that in a moment, but expanding the Pac-12. Now, if you followed any of my radio and TV over the last several years, I've been telling anybody who wants to listen, in college athletics, there is one more, at least in our lifetime, one more what I call Big Bang coming up. When I say big bang, there's going to be one more big expansion of conferences, realignment of conferences. I loved hearing the new Pac-12 commissioner talking about the Pac-12 expanding, because just one of the Power Five is not going to expand. They're all going to expand. One more Big Bang Theory is going to come through college athletics, and I think it will be really good. We're then going to get close to what should happen. We're going to have the big 65, 68, maybe 70 schools in a power conference grouping. Maybe 4, maybe 5. 14 teams, 16 teams, but that's a good thing. The next big bang that is right around the corner, especially when Pac-12 commissioner, the new Pac-12 commissioner, is saying that. We talked a little bit about LSU and all the stuff that's going on. Looking around, and we're going to talk LSU baseball here quickly, maybe in this SEC segment. Do you realize, and I don't know if this has ever happened, somebody may know and can send me a Facebook Live comment. I don't think Will Wade makes it to another basketball season. I know you say, well, Terry, he's Teflon, the basketball coach at LSU, all the FBI investigation. It's all still ongoing in the LSU world, okay? They're still looking into that. I don't think Will Wade will. I think it will finally wrap up and he will lose his job. I don't know if Ed Orgeron keeps his job. I'm not sure LSU will do something before the season, but Ed Orgeron, with all the Title IX stuff going on at LSU, I think it's very likely that they clean house at LSU on the football side. I think it's very likely that the FBI investigation forces LSU to finally clean house basketball, and there are a lot of people thinking that Paul Mainieri, the baseball coach at LSU, has gotten stale. With all that said, it wouldn't surprise me if LSU, and this may be unprecedented, I can't think of this anywhere in the past, LSU may be replacing their football, basketball, and baseball coach in a year. Just keep an eye on that. I'm not firing people, and I don't want to, I hate being that guy, but it could happen. Quickly, we got it on earlier with Coach Spurrier. I want to throw this out. Big stuff going on in women's college athletics. Florida State, Monday night, their soccer team will play for the national championship against Santa Clara. They've won it twice, so Florida State women are trying to win another soccer national championship. They got by Virginia in the semifinal in soccer yesterday, and North Carolina, one of the perennial powers, was upset by Santa Clara. So Monday night, FSU versus Santa Clara for the national championship in soccer. Again, FSU, a real power, going for their third national championship. In SEC softball, real quick before we get to the baseball that's coming up this weekend, the SEC softball tournament has started. Arkansas, the co-regular season champion with Florida, was upset. So Arkansas is out. It looks like, unless there's a couple more upsets, the two big bad boys in the women's softball side, I guess that didn't make a whole lot of sense, big bad boys in the women's softball side, it looks like Florida and Alabama are on pace for another collision course, and they have been the powers, and they have traded the regular season title over the years recently. They have traded the conference tournament title, and they've certainly both won their share of national championships. So Alabama and Florida may be set for yet another big battle for the SEC softball tournament championship, and that is ongoing right now. Now, with that, Evan, if we can, let's take a look at what's going on in the SEC baseball world. We've updated it. We had one game last night. Mississippi State defeated Missouri. So Mississippi State is now 17-8. These are kind of who's the teams at the top of each division. Right now in the East, Tennessee leads. They are really basically a half game up on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt had a game rained out, and it is now canceled. So that might bite Vanderbilt. But you see Tennessee and Vanderbilt leading the East with 7 conference losses. Florida 2 games back with a chance, though. The schedule might help Florida. So we'll take a look at that, then go down a little bit. The West, right now, Arkansas leads the West with 7 losses. Mississippi State 1 loss behind with 8 in the loss column. And then you see the series coming up that started last night and tonight, the series of note. Georgia is at Florida. The Gators really need a sweep. They've got to win the series, but a sweep would really put some pressure on. Vanderbilt trying to catch Tennessee and fight off Florida. Vanderbilt is at a very good Ole Miss team for 3 games. Arkansas and Tennessee play each other in Knoxville, 3-game set, so that's the leader in the East. and the leader in the West. So something's going to go down. Somebody's going to win 2 and lose 2 at minimum there. There could be a sweep. And then Missouri, Mississippi State. So you can see there's a lot going on with baseball as there is this weekend and one more final regular season weekend. Incidentally, Florida wraps up. They've got Georgia in Gainesville tonight, Saturday, and Sunday. But then Florida's got a tough trip at Arkansas, the number 1 team in the nation. And Arkansas has been ranked number 1 for a good portion of the year. So Florida's got a tough road to hoe, particularly next weekend, but you need to stay within striking distance. So a lot of stuff going on in SEC baseball. We'll come back on camera here. Last topic here, and we'll get out. If you've ever followed old Terry Norvelle on, if you've ever followed me on radio or TV, you know I have consistently for now 30 professional years shaken my head at the powers that be that have administered and run college football. And the thing that gets me the most about this group of men and some women, and it cycles through, is I've heard these people say, basically, that administering college football is the most difficult job ever in the history of the world. They seem to say that constantly, okay? My retort is, it's college football. It's not brokering Middle East peace or splitting the atom or figuring a way to get rid of the Kardashians. It's none of that. It's not that difficult. My comeback to that, they make it difficult. It's college football. Case in point, the Atlantic Coast Conference also has a relatively new commissioner. James Phillips is the new commissioner, been on the job about a year, about 6 months probably. I think he got announced in December. Well, he comes out yesterday at a press conference, just catching up with reporters and the like. And this is the new commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference, one of the Power 5 conferences. And he was asked about college football playoff expansion. And he said, well, and I'm paraphrasing, but the 2 words he used, thorough assessment. He said he doesn't want to make a comment. He said we would need a thorough assessment before we talked about expanding the college football playoff from 4 to whatever. Would the College Football Playoff Committee, which 10 days ago came out and used the word transparency, they came out, the College Football Playoff Committee now, they said, by the way, we've just wrapped up 27 months of discussing possible college football playoff expansion, including 63 possibilities. Isn't that the thorough assessment? What the last 27 months? Number one, it's college football. You don't need 27 months. We're not splitting the atom. And we certainly, guys, did not need on the agenda 63 options. It's at 4 now. We want to expand. 6, 8, 10, 12, 16. Okay. 63 options. My God, you make it too hard. Evan, let me get out of here before I have a heart attack. 27 months discussing 63 options. James Phillips, new commissioner, Atlantic Coast Conference. That is your thorough assessment. It's done. What else can you do? It's college football. Oh, that'll do it. That'll do it. Okay, if you missed any of this show, it was actually quality earlier. We had Coach Steve Spurrier on the first half. If you missed it, you can certainly pull it up on any of the Facebook archives. It is archived. Again, how to consume the show. We are now podcasting on all the leading podcast platforms. If you haven't heard, we're very excited. About 2 weeks ago, we came into a partnership, our show, College Sports Today, and 1010XL, the massive sports stations out of North Florida, Jacksonville area. So our show is always podcasted on all of their platforms, about 15, all the leading ones, iHeart, and Evan help me with them, Spotify and Apple and this one and that one, Google, this. And so you can hear it on all those platforms now. all the leading podcast platforms, and you can always watch it live. Our show is live Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m. on our Facebook Live page, College Sports Today, on the 1010XL Facebook page. You can also catch it on our YouTube channel. Please, 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 it's very important that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're a loyal viewer, a loyal listener, we need you to help us out. That'll help the show immensely. Go to YouTube and bang in College Sports Today and subscribe. Just that easy. I'm going to wrap it up. We're going to let Evan get out of here. Another great job. We want to thank Coach Spurrier as well for always livening up the show. Coach Spurrier and Shane Matthews back here on a Monday, as we'll do it again, the Monday edition of College Sports Today. I'm getting out of here, heading over to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Have a great weekend. We'll talk on Monday, the next edition of College Sports Today.